This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's Wednesday, which means we're doing a Learn My Licks video, and this one was inspired by, a little project I'm putting together, basically. You might recall I did that Zoom Blues Lead Guitar Masterclass last year. Well, I did one last year and I did one this year. And a couple of weeks ago on the live stream, I floated the idea of would people be interested in a similar kind of thing, but focusing on melodic rock lead guitar playing rather than blues. And there was an overwhelmingly positive response to that, so it's going ahead. I'll keep you posted on the details as we go. Anyway, basically what I'm doing at the moment is I'm kind of going through all of the solos that are going to be part of the of that little project, and I'm trying to do different genres of rock, and one of them was country rock. Now, when you think about country music and the equipment that's used, you probably start thinking about Telecasters or perhaps Stratocasters, and as amplification you might be thinking of a Fender Twin Reverb or some kind of Fender Tweed amp or something. But it's not usually the case that you start thinking, oh, country, Gibson Les Paul into a Marshall combo. So I thought, well, why not? Can you play country music or country rock on a Gibson Les Paul plugged into a Marshall? Well, let's find out. I think I got away with that, don't you? I think it sounded, kind of, as I said, towards the rockier end of the country spectrum, but there was certainly a little bit of country feel to that going on, hopefully. And here's an explanation of the kind of licks I was playing in that solo.
Lick explanation.
Okay, then let's take a look at some of the things I was doing in that solo to give it a little bit of a country feel. There are 5 things I want to talk about here, and we'll start off with, I think, probably the simplest and one of the most effective ones. I call this the pedal steel bend because it does kind of have that sort of country pedal steel kind of sound. Imagine you have an A chord. like that. Then imagine you just take the top 3 notes of that A chord like this. So then let's take this note, which is the major 3rd, and drop it down to, that would be basically either the 9th or the 2nd. So then I've got this, rather than kind of, I've got that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 9th or 2nd and bend it up to the major 3rd like this. Like that. Works really well if you kind of fade it in with a volume control. It's not really conducive to do that on a Les Paul, but I'll have a go. That kind of thing. Real sort of lonesome prairie kind of sound, isn't it? So that's pedal steel bend. Just basically do that on any major chord. Just find where your root note is of your major chord, like I did it a couple of times on a G in the solo. So there's a G note there, and like that, or do it up here, or on the D chord like that, and usually kind of resolving down to the root of the chord like that. That's the pedal steel bend. Now let's talk about something that's, well, this is a kind of a country thing, it's a rock thing, it's a rock and roll kind of thing, but it does kind of work well in a country setting. This is what I call the Unison polyrhythm, because we're using unison notes and we're using a polyrhythm. All will become clear. If I think there's one part in the solo where I was doing this over a D chord, so I'm taking the D note here on the top E string, and I'm taking the C note here on the B string, and basically I'm going to bend this C note up towards, or up to rather, the D note, and then hit the D note like that. Now what we can do here is if we play this note twice, so we get, then put a count to that, we've got 1 and 2. Okay, and this is where the polyrhythm part of it comes in. If you basically got like now a lick which lasts 1.5 beats, 1 and 2. So the next time you play that lick, it's going to start on the and of beat 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, like that. So it's kind of, you will naturally tend to accent that bend there because it's the first note in the cycle that you're repeating. But because it's landing in a different place in relation to the beat each time you play it, then it has this lovely polyrhythmic sound, which is, it's a good lick to just kind of park your fingers in and go through it repeatedly, and just while you're thinking about what you're going to do next. Another place I use this, and this does kind of get very country and rock and roll, is rather than, I did it on a D note again, rather than doing that note as a bend, do it as a slide and come off to an open string. So I've got a D note here on the 5th string and then the open D string. So I'm going like that. Again, it has that kind of polyrhythmic kind of sound. Loads of examples of that in the solo. Now, the next thing is probably one of the most important things for playing over, like certainly a major key country sequence, and that is playing to the chord changes with the pentatonics. Being able to stay in one part of the neck and kind of move with the chord changes. So for example, there's like the chorus section of that piece of music there spends 2 bars on a G chord and then 2 bars on a D chord. So what I'm looking for there is I'm looking for a way I can play G major and D major pentatonics on the same part of the neck. So I've got D major pentatonic here, pattern 1, and I've got G major pentatonic, pattern 4. So I can play like maybe a G major lick, and then into a D major. So using that pedal steel bend again there like that, but it works anywhere. For instance, if I was on G major pentatonic here, position 2, I could then go into position 4 of D major pentatonic. So G major pentatonic lick, D major, like that. And if you are familiar with the caged system, then this should come pretty easily to you. Or if I did a video, the last time I talked about the caged system was my sort of spin on it, something called the pentatonic wheel. Basically a way of being able to locate pentatonic patterns on the neck to suit whatever chord you want to play over, wherever you happen to be on the neck, so you're not kind of having to go, okay, so, G major is here, and D major is up here, where you can locate them easily overlapping each other. I'll put the lesson resources for that little kind of explanation of how I think of the cage system in the Patreon resources for this one today. Another thing that I like to do in a country sort of setting is to add a little bit of bluesy tension. It really does work, and like large parts of this solo were played over an A chord, and I can't remember if I did this in this version of the solo, but I've done various kind of takes of it for other things, basically, which other lesson kind of things and content I'm putting together. Anyway, it works, this. So here's an A major chord, and I can turn that A major chord into an arpeggio by playing this. Like that, okay? But this major third here just sounds a little bit too sweet and cheerful. If you want to inject a little bit of grittiness into it, so I'm going to flatten this C sharp down to a C, which is like basically when you take an A major chord, take the C sharp, move it down to a C, you've got now A minor. So I'm effectively starting to play A minor over A major, which is a typical kind of bluesy kind of thing. Again, I'm doing this a lot of the time over the A major chord. In country, you do tend to find that these kind of players sort of sit on each particular chord rather than just playing one scale over the whole thing. You can do that, but I just like to move with the chords. So anyway, we've moved that C sharp down to a C, and now I'm just going to bend it slightly. So a lick that sounds now just has that little bit more kind of kind of grit in it. Maybe doing it in. Maybe, there's the minor third hammering onto the major third, like that. Very, very commonplace blues kind of ideas, and they all work in a country setting. And the final thing I want to talk about today are double stops. There was a couple of places in the solo where I played a little bit of, sixths like this. That kind of thing. So what's going on here? Well, I've talked about this many times, and it's I've done entire videos on this topic, so what I can talk about here is going to be quite limited. Basically, if you imagine you were playing over the chorus section of the tune, and we've got a G chord and a D chord. So G and D, it's not unheard of. In fact, it's quite normal that you might have a C chord in there as well. So G, C, and D. Okay, so if we're playing over the D chord, what I can do is I can kind of think of those chords. I can think of the D chord and the C chord, and then I can think of the relative minor of the D chord, which is B minor, and the relative minor of the C chord, which is A minor, and then there's the G chord there. So I can go D, C, B minor, A minor, G. And all I've got to do is take two notes out of each of those bar chords. So out of that one I'm going to take those two notes. Out of the C chord I'm going to take those two notes. Out of the B minor I'm going to take these two notes. Out of the A minor, same pair of notes, just move down 2 frets. And out of the G, these two notes. So like that, and like that, and then maybe once I've got back up there, back into... Right. That kind of thing. And, you know, already it's starting to sound pretty country. If you can get, you know, all of these techniques under your belt, or just maybe a couple of them when you want to throw in a little bit of sort of country shenanigans into your solos, then, you know, I find them really versatile, and I like to use them a lot, which is what inspired this video. So now you know what's going on. Go away and have some fun with it. And as always, there's a full tab for the solo in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing it, that explanation you've just seen there, a jam track to play along with, and as I said in that little explanation clip there, I'll put the Pentatonic wheel lesson resources on there to help you kind of navigate the neck with the pentatonic shapes. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address, and the link is in the description. $3 or £2.50 a month gets you access to all of these bits and pieces and resources and goodies that go along with these YouTube lessons that I do. A massive heartfelt thank you to everyone who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are linked down below. And that's pretty much the video for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen and found it useful and informative in some small way. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like while you're at it. Don't forget, as always, the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time, where we have a beer and talk music and guitars. What's not to like about that? It's a great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.